Pricing for the 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line starts at $23,500 for the base model with the 6-speed manual. If you add on the DCT and a tech package, the pricing goes up from there. A fully loaded Hyundai Elantra GT N Line can run you north of $28,000, and that's if you add on the tech package for $3,850. But to get that tech package, you must have the 7-speed DCT for $1,100. And after almost $5,000 of extra packages, you're looking at about $850 more than the base starting price tag of a Hyundai Veloster N, so you might have some thinking to do there. Power for the 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line comes from a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine making 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. This one here is mated to a 6-speed manual, but if you don't know how to shift through gears, you can go for an automatic 7-speed DCT for $1,100 extra. Other parts of the world are lucky enough to get what is called the i30N, which would be known as the Elantra N here in the States. We don't have it yet, but the next generation model will most likely get a specific N model that will make north of 270 horsepower, probably the same engine that you see in the Veloster N that makes 275 horsepower. 0 to 60 comes in at 6.6 seconds for the 6-speed manual transmission model and 6.3 seconds if you go for the optional 7-speed DCT. In comparison, the Hyundai i30N will do it in 5.5 seconds and the Veloster N will hit 60 in just 5.2 seconds. This thing is pretty good on gas, so you get 23 city and 30 highway. When it comes to fuel economy, if a 14-gallon tank capacity, I am averaging a total of 24 miles a gallon, so that's not bad at all. This thing is extremely fun to drive. However, it does face some tough competition from cars like the Honda Civic Si and the legendary Volkswagen Golf GTI. I think when the true Elantra N comes out, that'll be a more formidable competitor for this segment. Design-wise, the Elantra GT is one of my favorite looking hatchbacks. This one here, the N Line, gets a new mesh grille, a deeper bumper with larger intakes, and if you're wondering, those vents are definitely real because you can see right through them. Pretty nice. And then on the side, you have black side view mirrors. You have exclusive 18-inch wheels, which look really, really nice. And then let's swing around to the back because that's where you have a new rear diffuser with dual exhaust, and it gives it a really, really mean stance. And then obviously you have N badging all around the car because this one is special. So I absolutely appreciate it when you don't have to pay extra for cooler lights. The Elantra GT N Line here comes standard with LED headlamps, and that's how they look with the indicators on. You also get standard LED taillights, and that's how they look with the indicators on. I love the design right there. It looks really cool. The awesome color you see here is called Intense Blue. There's just a normal palette of colors, nothing crazy. This is by far probably the most exciting one, and if I were to get an Elantra GT N Line, it would definitely be in this color. Again, when it comes to the wheels here, you have exclusive 18-inch N wheels wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires, and they look really, really nice. To pop the hatch on the Elantra GT N Line, you can either use a key or you have to come back here. There's no button in the front to open the hatch from there. But once you get it opened, you have 25 cubic feet behind the second row, and with the second row folded, you have 55 cubic feet, enough space for you to put basically anything you want in there. And say you need to access the full 55 cubic feet of space, you have 60-40 split seats, and to fold them, you just pull this latch here, and you have the same latch on the other side for the other seat. The interior on the 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line is a pretty nice place to hang out. There's a nice good use of high quality and soft touch materials. There is some plastic obviously throughout the cabin, but nothing out of the ordinary for this segment. My test model here does not come with a sunroof. To get a panoramic sunroof, you have to pay $3,850 extra for the tech package, but every Elantra GT N Line comes standard with that awesome leather-wrapped N Sport steering wheel and a leather-wrapped N shifter that you can see right there. Nonetheless, all the touch points within your point of view are soft touch materials. There's only some hard plastic like right here, and obviously the center console, just some little bit of hard plastic, but again, it's nothing out of the ordinary for this segment at all. Now, before you go commenting about how there's a check engine light on, I just want to let you know that I have it in accessory mode, and that's why it's on. I can't wait for the 2021 Elantra because it'll have all the digital screens that we've seen in the new Sonata, but for now, you have an analog gauge cluster, and it lets you circle through your trip info, your miles per gallon, and your speedometer, and that's about it. Nothing too exciting, but good enough info. And I just want to point out, like the Genesis G90 that I just tested, the Hyundai Elantra GT N Line lets you pick between 3, 5, and 7 flashes for your one-touch turn indicator. That's something I really appreciate, and I hope more automakers adopt that into their cars. As usual, Hyundai is very generous when it comes to the infotainment system. Every Hyundai Elantra GT N Line comes standard with an 8-inch touchscreen display which houses the infotainment system that has standard Apple CarPlay and standard Android Auto. If you go for the optional tech package for $3,850 extra, you get a native navigation system, you get cooled seats, you get a wireless charger, and you get a panoramic sunroof, along with an upgraded sound system. Every 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line comes standard with these amazing heated leather seats, and they're very comfortable, and they have nice red stitching and an N logo to remind you that you're driving something really cool. If you want cooled seats, again, you have to go for the tech package for $3,850 extra. Rear passengers get 34.8 inches of legroom, and that means if you're tall sitting behind a tall driver, you might have some issues, but not a lot. But if you need more legroom, just ask the front passenger to move up a little. Cup holders wise, you get 4, 2 in the front, and then you also get some on the side, but those are for big bottles. 2 in the back, so a total of 4, not bad at all. Here's the door open and close on a 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line from the outside. And from the inside. Not bad. And if you're wondering how the horn sounds on a 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line, here it goes. Not as bad as I thought. And now that I've answered all of your questions about the 2020 Hyundai Elantra GT N Line, let me give you my opinion on what I think about this awesome hot hatchback. Let's get to it. So the Hyundai Elantra GT N Line isn't a true N model in the same way BMW M340i's or M40i's aren't true M models, or in this case, N models. The Elantra GT N Line here used to be known as the Hyundai Elantra GT Sport, but now it's called the N Line because they're moving everything under that N umbrella. The next generation Hyundai Elantra is here, and that will get a true N model, making 275 horsepower from the same engine that you see in the Veloster N. But that does not mean that the Hyundai Elantra GT N Line isn't a fun car to drive. Power comes from a 4-cylinder turbo engine pumping out 201 horsepower, and that's really, really fun to push. It is not as fun as a Volkswagen Golf GTI, but it is pretty close. The one thing that I do appreciate is that the steering feel is heavy throughout the drive. There's no sport mode that you have to pop it into for the steering feel to get heavy like you do in the Volkswagen Golf GTI. It's just really fun to throw into corners, and this thing handles really, really nice. 0 to 60 comes in at 6.6 seconds for the manual and 6.3 seconds for the 7-speed DCT. The Volkswagen Golf GTI will always be my favorite hot hatchback, but this is a very compelling option. Keep in mind though, as you add on the 7-speed DCT and the tech package, you're looking at over $28,000, which is more than the Veloster N. So you can either get the Veloster N, or you can wait for the real Hyundai Elantra GT N, which comes out next year. I would probably do that. Either way, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Omar Drives, because that's where I get all the questions that I answer in these videos. And I'll see you next time. Peace.